Grand Rising, greetings and salutations. Welcome to another edition of 360 Info Network. It is an absolute pleasure and joy to be with you today. And as always, we have a great show lined up for you. This is 360 Info Network, sponsored by the Cleveland Observer, our media partner in this new excursion of 360 Info Network. I would like to make just a couple of announcements, and then we will introduce you to the creator and founder of 360 Info Network. Next Saturday at Larchmere Arts, we're going to have the closing show for Kim Essence Hunt Edge. So we want to invite you to be a part of that. Starts at 5 o'clock, and you can come and pay at the door. And then the following Saturday, we're going to have poetry and percussion once again at Larchmere Arts, 7 p.m. And you can go to our Facebook page for more details about that. We'd like to welcome Brother Antonio, founder and creator of 360 Info Network. We've been at this he's been at it for about 20 years. I think I've been on this ride for about 15 or 16 years, and it's been an absolute joy to bring this information to you. So without any further ado, Brother Antonio.
Greetings, everyone. Got a great show for you today, and welcome. 360 Info is we like to take you on a journey of information and discovery of who you are and what you are and where we should be going as people. I don't know if you've been paying attention or not, but we're going through some serious global changes in our planet or on our planet, and we need to be plugged in to what's going on. And we try to bring you some good information that you can use right here on 360 Info. And we appreciate you guys that's been with us for this long and sticking and staying with us. And as we go on this journey ourselves, that's why I call it the journey with Hamptonian, because we're on this ride of information, this journey, and we all are learning something. We got a great show for you today. The queen that we have on the show today that I've been trying to get for quite a while. She's been real busy doing her thing, and I brought her here to Cleveland one time, and we had a great time with her, great session with her. Very spiritual lady and a very informed lady, and we're gonna have a great conversation today. Go ahead and take it away, Vince.
Yes, we are blessed to have with us Professor Bayyinah Bello. She is a Vodouvi, an Afrodescendant, an Ourstorian, educator, writer, and humanitarian with over 50 years of wisdom and extensive research. She specializes in Ayitian Ourstory and linguistics. She's taught in many parts of Africa, Haiti, and America from the primary to the university level, including the State University of Haiti. She is the founder of Fondation FELICITEE, named after the Empress consort of Ayiti and wife of the revolutionary leader and founder of Ayiti, the Empire of Freedom, Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Without any further ado, we'd like to bring to your airwaves and to your attention Professor Bayyinah Bello. Greetings, sister. How are you today?
Greetings to both of you and to everyone that is listening and following.
All
I
Yeah.
am
right.
in great health and productive.
I
Yes.
would like to have you pronounce the name of the Empress because I don't speak French and I didn't want to murder it, but I want to honor her by having you say her name.
Thank you. Marie-Claire Heureuse Félicité Bonheur Dessalines is her full name. As Empress, she's Empress Félicité.
Empress Félicité. All
Okay.
right. Okay. Well, it's a pleasure to have you. Really, we've been talking about it and trying to get you on the show for quite a while, and then I know your schedule's been busy. You've been doing some things. You've been traveling. I think a couple. I think you even went. You was in Africa one time. That you messaged me that you were. I think you revisit back in the homeland and things like that. So it's a pleasure. It really is. And as far as our audience is concerned, to have you on the show. And I'm sure a lot of the listeners, when we speak of Haiti, it's been in the news, for the last several years. Some of the things that's going on in Haiti. So, what is your take on that? Could you give a little updates on, and maybe it's a little past history on what's going on in Haiti, so our people in the states can understand what's going on?
Okay. Well, the first thing to know when you say Haiti,
Mm-hmm.
We speak of the one and only nation that has gone through 312 years of slavery, fought off numerous enslavers and colonialists, and whipped the British, the Spanish, and the French armies in
Mm-hmm.
order to declare independence in 1804. So that's the first thing that one needs to know. In fact, you might have noticed that a few days ago, on November 18, the Haitian team won some sort of football, something. I'm not very well informed, some whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And everybody was so excited everywhere and whatnot. So, what some people may not have understood, November 18, 1803, is the date that we finish whipping the French army.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a victorious day for Haiti's soul and Haiti's people. And all freedom fighters are very proud of the Battle of Vertières. So when our team, who is going through lots of trouble, won this particular football, it turned into a historical uh, event
Mm-hmm.
in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I've heard that somebody from the other camp says, or they knew that FIFA cheated because by choosing November 18, they knew the Haitian team would win.
Well, it gave them a little extra boost of energy or something.
Right? So
Right.
we had all the fighters from 1803 were on the field with us
Mhm.
in
Right.
2025.
Right. He had some extra men on the field. Our
Yes,
ancestors playing to helping them win.
that's what happened. So now the island of Haiti is at the heart of the Caribbean and is the wealthiest space in the Americas. We have the second highest deposit of uridium after
Mhm.
South Africa. We have bauxite, we have gold, we have diamond. In fact, our gold mines, from what I've read, gold mines replenish every 147 years. And gold mines in Haiti replenish every 137 years. No one can understand, can explain why so far. So, just to tell you, this is a very rich. In petrol, we have the head of the snake, the petrol underground. It's sort of like a snake shape. Venezuela has the tail of the snake. Haiti has the head of the petrol snake. So we have about 12 to 20 times more petrol than Venezuela. So when you put all this together, you understand why everybody wants to occupy Haiti and why the UN so-called peace missions are in fact about missions to go rip off the wealth of Haiti. Everything that is going on. Okay, let's do a little logic. IT is supposed to be so poor, and everybody wants to help, and blah blah blah. How come our only airport is shut down by the US for over a year now? Is that helping? When Haitians cannot visit each other, when our football players cannot go home and practice, is that helping?
Mhm.
How come while the airport is shut down, US airplanes go in and out every day? Missionaries go in and out. But there are no commercial airlines. I cannot buy a ticket and say I'm going home next week.
Mm, 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 mm.
So you have to understand these so-called measures to help are 99% of the time measures to disrupt, to have your sight someplace else while they do what they want to do.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
The sleight of the hand situation, huh? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
As far as the gangs are concerned, I'll just give one example. One of them, personally, I make it my business never to name names of people who are so anti-human. So one of them has been declared whatever it is by the United States, and the FBI put a price on his head. Anyone who helped to find him, blah blah blah, it's $5 million or 10 million, I don't know. But regularly, CNN and other US journalists go to his home, bring him gifts, and have wonderful 2-3 hour interviews with him. And the FBI is looking for him.
Mm. Mm, mm, mm.
Something wrong with this picture.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay? So if we do not use our mind, our heart to reflect properly, to analyze properly, and we don't put on a scale what they say and what they do, we will not understand what's going on.
Yeah, it appears, and some used to say now you just painted a clearer picture as well. We know it's always about resources and folks going around the planet seeing how they can steal folks' resources. I think we got an example of that's what's going on in America today of someone going around seeing how they can shake down other countries. But some would also say that Haiti is continuing to suffer because of their desire to be free and struggle to free themselves from slavery, that they would have the nerve to want to be free and have some sovereignty, by warding off the British, the Spaniards, and the French. What would you have to say to that? So you would say that. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Of course, that will be part of, if there is one thing natural enslavers and thieves have at the root of their nature, is that any excuse to steal what you've got
Mm-hmm.
is, that's number one, taking away whatever you have. But in order to do that, you have to be docile. And to be docile, you can neither aspire to or have demonstrated you're able to snatch your freedom from thieves.
Mm-hmm.
We have done both. We have demonstrated that we could carry on 312-year war to reach freedom. And we did not hesitate, no matter who it was. The French could speak all the la 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 French and promises and blah blah blah, while they're sending more and more soldiers. Whatever number they sent, we whipped them. Period. The British under Maitland, General Maitland, decided in 1801, the French were so in bad shape, they nearly didn't have any control of the colony anymore. So the British said, hey, they're going to go get it. That's how they do most of the time, right?
Mm.
Jamaica was first for the Spanish, but at some point the British snatched it away from them. And so they thought they could do the same thing with the French colony of Saint-Domingue. So when they arrived, the British made a plan, 40,000 men, and they would be able to take it in less than a month. Well, 5 months later, they left 25,000 bodies on the ground as they back off trying to get to their boats. So we Haitians do not hesitate. The US occupied Haiti for 19 years. And prior to occupying Haiti, the US sent Marines to steal our gold reserve. That has yet to return home. They had said, oh, they're going to keep it for us because the country is so insecure. They have to protect the gold. Not the people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, but that doesn't stop Haitians from being who we are. natural freedom fighters. No matter how long the fight, we already carried out a 312-year fight. We don't have a problem with another 700-year fight. But freedom is freedom, will be, freedom must be.
You know what I used to say, and I still say, how this, you had the great Napoleon's army that you fended off all these particular people. I say today that Black folks need to understand how you guys did it over there in Haiti. I want to know the force and the energy that it took to fend off these particular great armies like Haiti did. I say we should be today finding out how did they do it and what did they do in order to get and obtain that type of power in order to fend off these so-called armies. Because I know they was outmanned. I know they were outgunned.
That's correct.
So how did Haiti do that?
Well, we fail to understand the fundamental of life. The first thing about life is whatever you see, like you're looking at this face here and you say, this is Bayyinah. No, this is not. This is the outfit of bone, flesh, and skin that Bayyinah is wearing. But you can't see Bayyinah. Bayyinah is inside. And so, we understand that all of us are spirit. We are invisible beings dressed in a body outfit. So then you'll understand, in order to defeat anyone, it has to do with your heart set and your mindset. It doesn't really matter what they have. You see, if right now they announce that somebody says, okay, they're going to drop a nuclear bomb, some of us will die before the bomb is dropped. Because in our mindset, we say, oh, it's over. There is nothing I can do. But others will think differently. And they will say, yeah, well, if everybody else, if the bomb kills everyone else, I will be the one person alive. We can see that in airplane accidents. How come every airplane accident, you rarely have all the people dead? There's always one person, and there's no explanation because they don't look into the mindset.
Yeah,
when things are going wrong, you have to set the mind, your mind. If everybody is taken, not me. If your mindset is that, you will always come with the creativity necessary to outdo whatever their program is. And of course, as a people, you need to have a program. We need to have the right education. All of us here have gone to the enemy's church, the enemy's school, the enemy's university. We speak the enemy's tongue.
Come on now. Yes.
How do we set our mind to thoughts that are not enemy thoughts? And excuse me, the enemy thought and the enemy program is simple. You see, even in our language, we tend to say things like, oh, the great powers have decided. I don't know any great powers. I'm sorry. I know foreign countries. I don't have any international, because if it's international, I'm in it. If I'm not part of it, it's not international.
Mm-hmm.
So it's foreign forces, not international forces.
Mm-hmm.
And just because you put a sign on yourself saying humanitarian, I'm going to look at what you do. I'm not going to call you that just because you claim to be that. A murderer is a murderer. A liar is a liar. A thief is a thief, and that's what I will call you.
Okay. Absolutely, calling it as it is, and it's funny, how they perpetuate that and go around the globe, trying to wear that particular title as a humanitarian. We got it on our money, and God we trust, and we're a Christian nation, and all this. But how can you sit back okay, let's take current events of what we're talking about right now. Babies going without food. You want to take healthcare away from some of the elderly people in this country today. How's that acting Christian and being a Christian nation?
There's no problem. I look at it this way. If that's your behavior and you claim to be a Christian, that's fine. I don't want to be one.
with that in mind. Now, some of us, before we go to the next subject matter, this, as far as Haiti is concerned, and that particular, because we know people need to understand too that Haiti went through this thing after they did the work of defeating all these armies. They, from what now correct me if I'm wrong, they was threatening again to come in and try to reestablish a good footing in Haiti, and because they was claiming that they built up Haiti and they want their money back. So Haiti spent a long time trying to repay the French for some of the infrastructure or whatever that they claimed that they was owed. And then the second part to that, that whole split, the history of that split with the whole Dominican and the Republic, Dominican Republican and the whole Haiti situation, that split. I think people will probably be curious to understand how did that come about.
Well, it's not very complicated.
Okay.
Colonists are forever fighting. Even though as they write history, they always put it in a very subdued manner. So on the island of Ayiti, and the entire island had that name, Ayiti. This is an Arawak term, Ayiti. So the island's name is Ayiti. In 1492, Euro-Christians, mostly from Portugal, invaded the island and decided that was their colony. And then they renamed the island Hispaniola. Down the road, French and British tried to take some of the islands as well. So at some point in 1675, the British and the French signed a treaty, decided to share the island. 1/3 will go to France and will be called Saint-Domingue, and the other 2/3 will go to Spain and will be called Hispaniola. Now, down the road, 1801, for example, Spain loses in fighting with France, so the whole island became Saint-Domingue, a colony of France. So then when we made the final battles against French, we made the entire island independent, and we gave it back its original name, Ayiti. 1804, one island, one independent country, Ayiti. Now, we know how these people are. The desire, the need to constantly be stealing that, so that didn't stop them. They continue to try to come back, French and the British and all of them trying to get back or get part of it. So ultimately, the Spaniards returned to some parts of the eastern side of the island. And again, in fact, in 1801, Toussaint Louverture had to take an army and go back and chase these Spaniards away. Now, after 1804, we several times had to do the same process of going and chasing enslavers who wanted to come back to the island, take parts of it, and reestablish colonies. Now, what is today called the Dominican Republic came into creation in 1842.
1842, okay. Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, there is only one country on this island, and it is Haiti. That's why you might hear the Russians, for example, Russian ruler, say they only recognize one country on this island, Haiti. It's because in 1820, I think it was 20 or 19, the Russian Tsar had recognized Haiti, while the entire Euro-Christian, Euro-Judeo-Christian world rejected Haiti's independence.
That's if people really don't understand and know the rich history that's going on. It's amazing by being the first you want to actually in the Americas to fight and win their freedom. You ought to know that there's some serious issues and with other countries having serious issues with them. Before we move on to some other questions I have for them, I know as far as the subject matter is concerned, as far as Haiti, we're gonna welcome in our good brother Vince Robinson. I know he may have some questions in reference to some of the subject matter we just went over. Oh, you're on mute.
You on mute?
He's on mute. You got it?
Yeah, I got it. I'm
Okay.
going to jump in and ask a few questions, but before we do that, we need to step away for just a few moments to entertain a communication from our title sponsor, the Cleveland Observer. So we'll come back with part B of our interview with Professor Bayyinah Bello. If you don't know, she is the author of Sheroes of the Haitian Revolution, and we are going to talk about that as well. So I'd like to invite you to stick with us. We'll be back in just a few moments with more 360 Info Network. And as we make this break, I'd also like to remind you that we are on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. You can join us on all three of those platforms. You can also jump in with the chat and ask questions or just greet everyone who was a part of this broadcast. So we'll be right back.
Cleveland has stories worth telling and voices that deserve to be heard. That's why the Cleveland Observer is proud to sponsor 360 Info Network with Vince Robinson and Antonio on AM 1490 WERE, where truth, culture, and conversation come together. Each week, host Vince Robinson and Antonio open the door to powerful discussions, from the arts and community history to the issues shaping our neighborhoods today. And the Cleveland Observer is right there with them, shining a light on the people and movements building a stronger Cleveland. Tune in to 360 Info Network and visit cleobserver.com to read, watch, and share more stories that inform, inspire, and unite our community. Because together, we are Cleveland's voice.
Welcome back to 360 Info Network and our conversation with Professor Bayyinah Bello. We will continue with the show in just a few moments. I just want to take this opportunity to welcome you to join us on YouTube. You can go to The Journey with Antonio and view this program on that platform. You can also go to my YouTube channel and do the same thing. And when you do, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Because it will give you insight as to when we post new content, and we're always posting great content for your information, your awareness, and your edification. Would like to welcome back to the program Professor Bayyinah Bello and our co-host, co-founder, co-creator, or creator actually of 360 Info Network, Brother Antonio. Professor Bello, you mentioned a couple of things. One, you were talking about the interesting dichotomy of having an FBI hit list and access through mainstream media for a person who seems to be, on the run, but not on the run so much. And I'm just flashing back to the 60s when you had the FBI infiltrating different organizations like the Black Panther Party and having operatives, and knowing the way the Central Ignorance Agency works and the other teammate that it has. I'm just wondering if some of the gang activity and some of the negative things that are going on in your country are the result of infiltration by our government to create chaos and confusion, and enable them to create the instability that allows them to exploit the resources that you so eloquently shared with us.
Well, I think you're trying to be extremely nice and kind and whatnot. Actually, the whole system is a foreign system established by, financed, and armed. Every weapon, Haiti don't make no guns. So if somebody has tons of weapons and they can have little boys who don't know, who don't have much to eat and whatnot, and give them a big gun, train them, have them shooting sometimes all day long. They don't have to worry about what the cost of ammunition or anything is. So the stock is unending. So it's a foreign program.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting too. You talked about the gold reserves, and I know we're in the midst of some changes on the world financial scene, and the United States is accumulating as much gold as it possibly can. They're talking about at some point revaluing gold to take it from the $4,000 an ounce that it is right now to perhaps $10,000, $15,000 an ounce. But it's just a little bit unsettling to think that the government would go in there, as you described, and remove all of the gold and say, well, we're doing this for your own good because, it's safer with us than it is with you. And then when you look at the global scale, you look at all of the gold on the continent of Africa and the fact that, you have all this wealth in the minerals of the countries, but then you look around and you see the poverty that exists because they don't get the benefit of the resources that are beneath their feet. Could you talk a little bit about how Haiti is being exploited in the way that it is, and just the richness of that country?
At this time, I will not talk about Ayiti because this is being done across the world. There's a war in the Congo. Why? Because foreign Euro-Judeo-Christian folks put their armies, train their lackeys, and give them weapons and money to terrorize the population while they take away the wealth. It's going on in the Sudan. It's going on everywhere you turn. We have to be more strategic in the way we understand things.
Yes.
If we stay on Haiti was like Haiti is one and only. No, that is not the case. All wealthy Black nations are under the same program. That's what we have to understand. In fact, as a matter of fact, this week, if I'm not mistaken, the guy in Washington, D.C. is threatening to attack Nigeria. Who asked why? Okay. So somebody could just declare so-and-so is into drugs, and so I'm going to go with my army to stop it. Come on. Wake up, folks.
Absolutely. And you see that kind of going, it's all over the globe, man. And that's the issue that I'm having, because we tend not to expand our understanding and knowledge. We get too trapped up into those distractions and really not paying attention. It's the same game that's been played forever.
That's right.
And we need to understand, and read between the line and follow the money trail all the time. It's the same thing. Go ahead.
One minute. Let me bring it home. What happened to a great town, Tulsa, Oklahoma, where prosperity was generalized, a great Black town that was doing well? What happened to them?
They destroyed it.
So what are we talking about? What are we surprised when we say, oh, they did this in Haiti? Oh my goodness, they did this in Jamaica. Oh, we're shocked. We're always shocked. But it's the same recipe being used all over each one of our countries.
And that's the reason, my good sister, that I asked the question about what did Haiti do to fend off those particular invaders like that. That's what we should be studying, and that's what we should be knowing, because you see, and what you just laid out is a global attack on Black folks around the planet. I've seen information of some of our European colleagues, of people talking about, you know, their mission is to keep the southern equator underfoot. You know, it's their goal to do that and keep them at bay like that, in order for them to stay on top. Look at Burkina Faso, or look at Niger, what France has done to the far as the resources and paying them. See, this is what our people need to understand. Because we sit back and look, oh, why they ain't getting themselves together? What's wrong with them over there? And why they?
Aren't you getting yourself together, brother? Before you say why they're getting themselves, why aren't you getting yourself together?
Yeah,
I find that the reasons are exactly the same.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and they look, and we pointing the finger and looking and looking down our nose on why this. And if you understand history and know what's been going on and taking place, you know, forever. It almost seemed like forever. Yeah. You'll know why. Because I in closing with this statement, that people think, you know, before the Africans was brought over here, that the Africans was in Africa at the beach chilling and just taking it easy while we was going through slavery over here in America. No, they leaders were getting killed. They was, you know, being colonized and going through the same punishment as we were going over here, because some people in Africa never came back to help us, and this, that, and other. Evidently, we having a history problem here, where that we're not really understanding history and knowing what's going on, so we can make good critical analysis on things.
I want to take a preemptive strike and go back to something that the good professor shared with us. And she was talking about spirit and then these bodies that we live within. And you asked the question how that they do it. It was spirit. It was collective spirit. But I like to hear the professor's answer to that question. How did the people of Haiti fight off the French and the British and everyone else that came after them?
My analysis indicates that, number one, most of us did not buy up. First of all, they didn't want us at first. You know, you are when you are into their enslaved structure, their criminal, ferocious, outrageously criminal structure. You cannot belong to anything. You cannot learn to read. You cannot everything was forbidden. Then they decided, oh no, maybe that's not the best way to go. We have to make all of them Christians. So then they would line up people to make you Christians by force. If you refuse, we'll cut your head. Now, that's a good way to accept a very good religion, right? You either accept Jesus or cut off your head. So, of course, who's going to say, cut my head? People are going to just go and let it be. But at that point, we knew, okay, you do your thing, throw water on me or whatever it is you do, and declare that from this point on, I'm no longer Bayyinah, I'm now Maria, and I belong to Jesus. Okay, that's what you said. But when I go home, I don't know nothing about your Jesus, and I don't care nothing about your Jesus. I continue to do what I know. And what I knew is Ogu, is Ezili, is Freda, is all the forces that my ancestors were attached to. So we reclaim what we knew from memory, and we structured it So when we go to war, for example, when we first jump out from the plantation, half naked, sometimes it's completely naked. Because if in some structures, even a piece of cloth, they didn't give you. Because especially when they felt you were of a mindset to run away or to do anything. So naked was the way to keep you. But it didn't stop us from running away. We run away naked. We run away with no machete, no sticks, no nothing. But we run away with the mindset we're going to war. That's what made the big difference. And when we go, we find a group, we find some folks that are in the woods or wherever, and who take us in, and we create a new way of looking, of looking at the family. We say neighbors are family. So you live next door to me, I live next door to you, or we're sharing the forest space, then you will call me auntie, or you will call me granny. I will call you son. I will call you cousin. So we created a new form of family that is based on proximity. If you're next to me, that's who you are. I get a new man in my life, my children will call that man uncle or daddy. But always a family bond is created. And then that way, the family, the whole family makes the army. The army was not made of the men that are 40 or 25 or 60. No, the army is made of anyone who had the strength and the desire to fight. And everything was based on competence. And that is why women could be at the head of. You will find somebody like Agbaraya Toya, who's from Dahomey, but Dahomey already had a female army. So she was a well-trained military woman, a general from Dahomey, taken into slavery. And her only desire was to create another army right then and there. And that's who trained Jean-Jacques Dessalines. From the time he was a newborn baby, she starts the training. She didn't wait for him to be 21. So the mindset is established. The 4, the 5, the 6-year-old is trained to climb up the tallest tree and stay on guard for 1 hour, keeping track of anything that moves. Let us know. The 10-year-old had their task. The 20-year-old had their task. Whatever you could do is what you were given. And so, even in Toussaint Louverture's letters, we could see he says here's how the army would go out. First, the children under 10. Yes, the children under 10 first went on the battlefield because they could crawl to the enemy camp and then go fill their pockets with ammunition that we didn't have. We're ready to fight, but we ain't got no ammunition. We may have some guns, whatever. But the children have to go do that. Next, the women crawl on the battlefield because the women had this ability to make certain noises with the that confuse the enemy army. And also, the women were the most determined. They say when it comes to, the women had one of their tasks was to dismantle the cannon. And when a woman couldn't find anything to put in the mouth of the cannon, many women, even with newborn babies, went to war with their babies attached to their back or their sides.
That's determination there.
When they could not find anything to stuff the cannon mouth, they'll grab that baby and stuff it in the cannon's mouth. Because every cannonball can kill 40 to 80 of us. So best to lose one baby and save 80 soldiers.
Wow. That's
the kind of determination.
I mean, that's determination. I mean,
that's the kind of mindset. The mindset that says self-defense means you can defend yourself with whatever is here. Somebody comes and attack me now, my phone is my weapon. My laptop is my weapon. My pen is my weapon. We don't think that way. Now we are conditioned to think, if I come in front of you with a gun and you don't have a gun, then you have nothing. You can't do nothing. That's not true. That's the biggest lie. The first thing we need to put in this mind is that the scarf, yeah, it's nice. It's making me pretty right now. But you attack me. That will be one weapon to snaffle the knife out of you.
Yeah.
My ring, stick it in your mouth and make you swallow it.
Yeah.
Hey, self-defense. You have to have a self-defense mind. Everything you do, knowing that everything around you is your weapon when you are being attacked.
Sister Bello, you've been quoted as saying that the greatest knowledge is the knowledge of self.
That's correct.
And the second part of that is you wrote a book on the 7 principles of voodoo, and we and Black folks, African Americans, tend to get all spooky, you know, and lose their mind when you say, could you talk about the origin of that and that self and that knowledge of self in reference to voodoo?
All right.
Okay, yes.
This is made of 30 some odd years of research on our Ourstory, and then questioning the mindset of our Sheroes and Heureuse. And that brought me to the understanding that we, as each individual, is a universe. And in each one of us are all the laws that we may be seeing people expressing in different ways, but everything is inside of me. And it's not just because I'm Haitian. You too. If people are coming out of a room, and one person comes out and drops the door, the other person comes out and drops the door, the person with a leg-back principle mindset will hold the door for all to go out. As simple as that. A law is a principle which enables a human to behave a certain way and accomplish certain missions. Simple. Okay. When we talk about Oguferai, we talk about the ability to use iron to make everything that you need to defend yourself. When we talk about Ogubadagri, Loi Ogubadagri, we talk about the ability to use the word. You're a politician. You could use the word to change people's mindsets. So if we were conscious of the laws or talents and principles in us, we wouldn't swallow criminals presenting themselves as humanitarians.
So again, you know, if you do a little research, and this will, you know, one of the things that I'm trying to, you know, open our people up to is understanding some of that ancient sacred science and philosophy like that. You know, you would have a greater knowledge. And I think, and what's your take on it? I think a roundabout way of getting our people to understand and maybe having a thirst to move forward further is understanding nature. Would you say and agree that nature is one of the first steps of really understanding who you are, what you are, and the creator What's your thoughts today?
Absolutely. I mean, hey, it is a fallacy of the highest degree to imagine that human beings are different from birds and trees and earth and water and fire. That's nonsense. As a human being, when I'm speaking and I put my hands in front of my mouth, I can feel the heat coming out of my mouth. As I speak, I can also see the liquid, the water spitting out of my mouth. So how am I going to claim that me, fire, have nothing in common? I'm a human being and fire is something else. That's total nonsense. Nature is one. The galaxy is one. The universe is one. And all the universes put together creates one cosmos. So if we understand the role of each law, each principle in the universe, then we can understand ourselves so much better. There are some people who are naturally fire characteristics, and Bayyinah is one of them. It doesn't take much for me to tell you we're not going to go that way. Yes. Okay. But being aware that I have a strong fire temperament, I usually do my best to keep the fire under control and allow the water to more often, because I can frighten people to death. Okay. So people that we see that are constantly angry, constantly this, constantly, these are people who have not yet understood what they're made of.
Right. Okay.
And so instead of them being in control of their elements of makeup, the elements or one element decide to take total control and take everything, decide everything.
I see what you're saying. No balance. Is that what you're saying?
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. Sister, just quickly, before we go to a break, and that's when what you said, it made me think about how the system has made us so afraid of nature in that degree. And let me explain my point with Christians. You have pastors that would talk about the zodiac and look at it and down astronomy and things of that nature. Like you just said, I would assume, by the little information that I know of, by you having that fire, has something to do with the time frame that you were born and the energy at that. And we tend to disregard those things like that in this country and think it has no relevance. Could that be on purpose, because you be ever trying to find yourself and wondering why you're feeling like that, but you have no understanding?
Well, it's not quite true that they disregard it. Not true. Because I happen to know that, for example, the guy who created Apple, even though he's always claimed all his Christianity, blah, 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 but when Apple was not taking off the ground, when the iPhone, nobody was buying it, he went to someone who did a reading and gave him some pointers. One of them was to write the name of the phone with a small I and a big P. And when he redid it, a lot of things changed. But perhaps one of the most, maybe more easily verifiable is a singer called Dionne Warwick. Maybe some of you are old enough to remember when Dionne Warwick first started, her name was Dion Warwick without a E, a final E. She went to someone who told her, you have all these beautiful music, you have full of talent, but your name is spelled wrong. Here is how to spell it. You need this many letters in the first name, this many in your last name, and everything will go fine.
Wow.
And
Okay.
sure enough, she changed the spelling of her name. And then from this point on, all her albums were, the
Gold
rest is
albums.
history.
Wow.
Yeah, or as you say, our story, and I really like the way that it's not necessarily gender non-specific, it's inclusive, so you get both sides, his and hers, and it becomes ours. We're going to step away for just a few moments, and we will return. We're going to depart from the radio platform that we were on, and we will be exclusively on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So we have been listening to 360 Info Network. Our guest is Professor Bayyinah Bello. I will post information on how you can get to her and get to some of her books. She showed us one of them. She also has another book called Sheroes of the Haitian Revolution, and we welcome you to acquire those books as well. We've gotten a really good history lesson, and when we talk about history or our story, as you mention it, there's this concerted effort to erase from our consciousness where we came from and who we are. And I think when we talk about what's necessary for us to move forward, it is about us remembering who we are before our memories were taken away from us. You talk about spirituality. They wanted to convert us to another system, which wasn't really in our best interest. So we'll talk about that and more when we return. This is 360 Info Network, and also would like to remind you that we have 2 YouTube channels, and we could definitely use your support. So go to the Journey with Antonio and check that out. Like, comment, subscribe, and share these broadcasts with others so that they can get the wealth of information that we offer here. Also, just want to take a moment to acknowledge our partner in the studio at the radio station. His name is Tone Harley, and he does an excellent job of making sure that we are on the air each and every week. So big ups to Tone Harley for doing what he does. Don't forget the closing show at Larchmere Arts next Saturday at 5 o'clock. And on December 6th, we will welcome Butter. She is a spoken word artist, and she'll be on our stage on that date. And you can go to the Larchmere Arts Facebook page for that and more. Thanks for joining as always. Know yourself, love yourself, be yourself. Make today your absolute best day. Peace, y'all. All right, 12 o'clock noon right here on 360 Info Network, brought to you by the Cleveland Observer. We have Brother Antonio, we have Professor Bayyinah Bello, and we are talking about our story, the story of how these brothers and sisters came together, all ages, all the way up and down the spectrum, And I was thinking about that as you were sharing that with us, Professor Bello. One of the biggest issues that we have in this city and cities across the country is that we're afraid of each other. So when you talk about a collective effort, everybody linking arms and sharing space and seeing each other as uncle and auntie and granny and all those other things, and the level of respect that permeates those types of relationships, you see that pretty, I don't want to say completely absent, but public safety is a primary concern of residents of cities who feel that they need police to protect them from each other. So when you look at a war effort and the mindset that you talked about, this is one of the biggest things that have to change in order for us to move forward and do what's in our best interest as a culture within a culture that refuses to accept us for who we are. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, you're absolutely correct. Once the mindset is different, then the behavior is different. So the Arawak, for example, had a law that no city can have more than 3,000 people, because above 3,000, the whole mental structure changes and people do not know how to police themselves. Arawak did not have a police. But what they did is that a city is built, it grows. When it reaches 2,500, they will send people to go identify the space for a new city. And at some point, when the new space is taken, properly treated, and whatnot, then 500 people from that town will go to the new space and start the new town so that the traditions and mores and whatever are growing there the same way that they have developed here. But this business of cities of 20 million people, all right. That's a nice setup for criminal activities.
Yes, sister. You know,
I'm sorry, excuse me.
No,
And
go
not
ahead.
only that, but even choosing a space for a city. When you choose the right space, that means you're going to communicate spiritually with the land itself. The same is true, for example, in Egypt. Before an architect would build a pyramid, he will spend so many nights sleeping on the space so he can receive the proper agreement, permission, blessings, and whatever he needs in order to go on and put a pyramid here. If he doesn't receive it, he has to go to another space and start sleeping there. So, a different relationship. And in that vein, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, when it came time after independence, he now needs to set up the capital city of our country. And everybody was saying, well, there's only this city and that city and this city. He said, no, those cities are colonial cities with a colonial spirit. I have to now walk bare feet on the land to let the land tell me where.
That's what I'm talking about. That's a whole level of spirituality that we have lost, you know. And I would say, and I guess it kind of leads to my next question. You'll stay and visit in Africa. What are some of the profound things in dealing with the language? Because you kind of alluded to it earlier about talking and speaking and language and sound. You know, we so far removed from African spirituality or spirituality in general. Okay, let's just say that.
You're into religion, which is a totally different thing.
Yeah, yes, totally different thing. And those things like that, I think we lost that relationship. You know, I play the drums, and we used to talk about how, you know, the elders went out to the forest, they asked the tree for permission in order to cut the tree in order to make the drum. That's real spirituality like that. Making those relationships.
We still do that in Haiti. Nobody's gonna make you a drum just cutting off the tree.
Just cut the tree off and just going about your business. Indigenous people didn't function like that. And that's that relationship. That's why I made that statement about knowing the creator, knowing who you are, things by understanding nature first and how things work, you know, because people, you know, we tend to, in this high-tech society, look at someone giving honor to the water, or giving honor to the tree, or giving honor to the air, or thanking the sun for shining and things. We have gotten away from all of that basic stuff, and that's the foundational stuff. I guess we want to get rid of that stuff, but we're okay with this right here. We get into this right here, but won't get into nature and things that brings forth life and perpetuate life, but we're not into that.
Well, which is why you're in a society that has no desire for life, that does not promote life. In fact, from the way I understand it, these societies, these Judeo-Christian societies, their purpose is actually to turn each one of us into a robot. We are non-thinking. Okay, people tell you all the time, "Oh no, Bayyinah, you could do it faster. Just ask AI." I said, I don't care about AI. I got a brain. I have to use it. If I don't use it, I will lose it. Okay? We're seeing an epidemic of Alzheimer's illness. Younger and younger people are coming. Do we know why? Have we questioned what's making people unable to remember yesterday? People are going under the earth, taking the diamond, taking the gold, taking the this and taking the that. Do they know what is the purpose of diamond in the equilibrium of the planet? Have they questioned that? What is the purpose of petrol in the equilibrium of our planet?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What is the purpose of gold in the equilibrium of our planet? No questions asked. But hey, let's go get it all, grab it. The gold today, if we were to say no more gold digging, no more diamond digging, no more whatever.
Well, mm-hmm.
We have enough of everything for the next 21 generations. And one of the things I learned in studying Mali, the empire of Mali, no mind was to be mined more than, and this is the country that had the most gold at the time, no mind is to be mined for more than 7 years. Then you shut it down, you let it rest for 21 years. You work another mind. And there are many ceremonies. You don't just go and start digging. Oh, no. As a matter of fact, even in my yard, when I first moved where I am some 20-some odd years ago, I called a guy because I wanted to have a water hand pump. So when the electricity is out, I will not run out of water. So I wanted to put a hand pump, and the first guy that came, he says, no, there's no need because, your yard, there isn't enough water. You'll never be able to blah, blah, blah. So I called the second one and the third one. And eventually, a guy who seemed to really know, he says, yes, you have water. We can have a well for you right here. But you would need a ceremony to ask permission.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Can you do it? No, I am not qualified. I'm a well digger. I do not know about ceremonies. I just know that you should have it. I said, can you find me someone who does? Yes. And then I had everything done. I have observed in the 25 years that I've lived there, not only have I never gone without water, I always have water. But even when there is flooding in the neighborhood, the flooding stops where my starts on both sides. I have no water. You never have a pool of water in front of my gate. And I believe it's connected to my having done the proper ceremony to dig the well. So my entire relationship with water is set up on a different base.
Whoa. that's too deep for most of us to comprehend at this particular time. And we say certain things like that in other contents and don't realize what has been saying. I would give small examples of, in your Bible, didn't they deal with incense and sacrifices and things of that nature? Wasn't it going on then?
Sure.
And then when other people talk about things like that, having faith of mustard seed, the works I do, you would do as well. When Jesus, paraphrasing, supposedly what Jesus said, he did all those things. And that's I think the understanding and the greater understanding of nature. This is what I mean. What you just verified what I've said about understanding nature and giving honor to those natural things like that, because they are, like you said, they are a part of you. Yep. We all together in this thing here, And go ahead, sister. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
And actually, it's not honoring; it's respecting.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Which is the basic element of, oh, that's 1212. We have to take a minute to say solidarity and unity among all the children of Africa throughout our planet. Solidarity and unity among all the children of Africa throughout our planet. Solidarity and unity among all the children of Africa throughout our planet. Aibobo, aibobo. Yes. So we were saying,
we was talking about the nature and understanding that whole relationship, like in the Bible and all of that.
Right. It's paying respect. That's what we owe to each other. I must behave respectfully towards each one of you, and you must behave respectfully towards me. We must respect the trees, the land, the earth, the sun, the wind, all life form communicate. So I cannot, even in my own yard, I can't go and just put my hand on the tree because I need to make some tea and I'm going to get some soursop leaf, for example, and I just go and grab it. Oh no, I must greet the tree.
Wow.
Ask permission and tell them why I'm going to take 5 leaves or 7 leaves or whatever, because I need to sleep and I can't sleep. That's why I'm coming here. In fact, when you come to a tree, for example, at night, you woke up 11 o'clock and you're going into the yard to go get, you must first knock because the tree is sleeping also. So you must wake it up. If you go and grab 5 leaves and make your tea, you won't sleep because the fluid that keeps everything, that has everything, it went to sleep in the roots. There's nothing in the leaves now.
See your point. See your point. See your point, because it's all about that cycle of life, and everything. Those are principles and laws that everybody abides by. Everything abides by. So yes. I mean, bringing it home real quick, just by working 3rd shift, working all night, where everything on the planet is shut down, and you working. That's against the laws of nature, Brother Vince.
Well, I'm just I don't know. I'm without words right now, just because of the profound nature of what we're talking about. But I think clearly what we're talking about is the interconnectedness of everything. You know, when you talked about cycles of 7 and 21, you know, first of all, there's significance to the number. And then secondly, it's really about us being responsible stewards of the planet. If the most valuable thing to us is our breath, and we have a relationship with trees that enables the tree, to take our carbon dioxide and give us oxygen, which we need to breathe, then why would we be so irresponsible and take down rainforests, for example? Because that rainforest is like a filter for the planet. I learned something really interesting earlier in the week, and that is, we always talk about the Amazon rainforest, but there is a rainforest on the continent of Africa that is even more profound and more significant. But again, because we're operating in a situation where we don't know ourselves, because you talked about the importance of knowing self. We don't know ourselves. We don't know nature. We don't understand our relationship with nature. And we don't understand not only the interconnectedness of us with nature, but the interconnectedness of us with each other, the global population. You know, the strategy is divide us, create a certain specter of fear that we live in, that keeps us away from the power that exists within ourselves to impact things on a global nature. I'm so appreciative of the fact that you said it's not just about Ayiti, it's about us all over the planet. And the mantra that you just shared with us at 1212 is the evidence of the fact that we have to have that unity in order to create the change that needs to take place in all of the places that are affected by colonialism. I watched a movie a couple weeks ago. It's called Now You See Us, Now You Don't. And it was a movie about magicians. And we can take this as just entertainment, but the so-called powers that be practice magic.
That's right.
And they were showing you how magic works. And at the heart of this story, it's so ironic that you would bring up diamonds. It was about this heart diamond. And this heart diamond was worth $500 million, and it was going to auction. But the company that controlled this diamond was a South African country. And this company was actually in place to do and be involved in money laundering. And what the magicians did was they gave the power back to the people, which is a narrative that we really have to take seriously today, because the reason that they give us the other narrative is to make us think that we don't have any power in this situation. But, you know, Brother Hamtonio, we talked about the fact that you could get 1,000 monks together in one place and have them meditate at one time and you know, practice chanting or whatever that they do, and this could have a global impact. Well, when we unify and we do what she just did at 1212, that's when we use our power to create the things that are in our best interest. So again, I'm just speechless, because I'm just taking in, you know, all the magnificent wisdom that you're giving us, and the story that needs to be told our way and not their way. Because just like we said last week, when you tell the story of the lion and the hunter, it will always favor the hunter until the lion tells the story.
And one thing I want to add to that, in something I said like a week or so ago, that they was talking about the movie Katrina, the documentary Katrina that came. I haven't seen it yet, but some people was telling me about it, and it just validates the how far removed we are in dealing with life, death, and things of that nature. You know, something, you know, anytime you have a large number of souls leaving this planet, especially our people at one time, an acknowledgement should be taken for those souls leaving like that, you know, and there should be some type of remembrance, spiritual remembrance of all of that catastrophe that happened in Louisiana like that. You know, I mean, it should be things across our whole country that when tragedies affect us like that and souls leaving like that, a spiritual, a communal, cultural people would acknowledge those particular things and understand what had just happened and do things because those people in the spirit world right now, that's what sacrifice was all about, you know, talking to the unseen world to get some things done on the physical plane. Your thoughts, Sister Bello?
Well, that's correct. That is it is a necessity, and you don't have to have. Okay, we tend to think you're looking at this one face, one body, but the Bambara people have a saying: there are numerous people within the person in the person.
Okay.
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 So if you think yourself one, limited, exclusive, then ask yourself, why is it when you go to the closet to pick something to wear, you say, oh, I'm going to wear the pink, blah, blah, blah. And when you get to this closet and you say, let me take the blue instead. You're turning with the blue and then something else says, nah, the green would be better. You go back to the closet. What's all this going on here? There are many of you here, and you don't always agree with each other. Okay. So when you see that you're going back and forth, the pink, the blue, the green, the one, you need to stop and say, okay, let's get it together. Which one we're going to do? Today is Friday, today is Saturday, and I'm going to a such and such thing. What is the best color for me to reach the purpose that I'm going for? The reason I'm going to this place is not just to be there. I'm going to this place because I want to blah, 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 blah. So it's important that I'm wearing the right color.
See you tapping on something else. See, you know, I've been on that for a long time, you know, and understanding you know, and that's why I bring up the whole thing of nature, because those things are so important, you know, in dealing with color, smell, sound. We have no understanding how those unseen forces are dealing with us. Go ahead, sister.
And we could add this. Okay, so I went back and forth, and finally I picked the blue, and I wear the blue, but for no particular reason. I just, you know, grabbed the blue in the end. So I'm going. On my way out, I trip, and my heel broke or something. Something went wrong with my shoes now. Am I going to just fix it, put it, and continue, or am I going to go back and change the shoes? Okay. I'm in a hurry. No time for all this. I continue. On my way there, I may notice a snake run through the street, or I may notice a rabbit, or this or that. Or I almost hit a blah, 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 blah. I need to stop. These are warning. They're all talking to you. Why they come running in front of your car? I had in Florida, I experienced this. A friend of mine was driving, and we were going someplace. We had a number of, before we left the house, there were a number of things that didn't go right. And then we get in the car and we're going. And as we were going, the bird that has a big tail that it opens up.
Peacock. Peacock. Okay.
A peacock flew and hit the glass of the windshield. But just, you know, not enough to damage. And so, what is this? And then she can just say, no, please stop the car. At the first proper opportunity, stop the car. Let's check this thing out. So she stopped the car. We talked about it. I explained to her what I felt from the different interactions. And then I said, okay, now we'll explore. Let's go closely, and let's not take whatever road you were going to take at the corner. Change your road. Sure enough, she turned. She was going to go straight. There was a roundabout. She was going to go straight. We turned right. Instead of going straight, she said, "Oh, she'll catch it up down the way." And the car that went after us hit the two cars hit each other, and that's it. Okay.
Oh boy.
That's what the peacock was telling us. Slow down.
Yes.
So everything in nature communicate. Okay. Just being aware of it and paying attention will help you run your life more smoothly.
Yes, I understand exactly what you're saying. Because those things happen all the time in front of you. You just don't understand, you know, what's happening in front of you. We're so null and void to those particular things. And see, we have to understand that we have been drilled with a European mindset.
Exactly.
You have to understand that. You know, when Vince talked about the trees, you know, I used to get that analogy as well. There's a relationship there. And you've seen it in the Native American communities where they talk about, you guys believe everything is dead. You think the rock is dead. You think the tree is dead. And people think every time you talk to God, you got to be looking up at the sky. You know what I mean? And one thing that we, you know, some of our hardships, you know, God don't put anything on you more than you can bear and all that. You got to understand that there are principles that are governing this planet, and you go against the principles of what's governing the planet, you're gonna get spanked. So there's a proper time to eat, a proper time to sleep, a proper time to mate, a proper way to walk, a proper way to stand. All those things are energies and entities that you are in control of. And if you are void of those particular things, then you're going to face some hardships. You're not going to understand. And that's what I'm trying to get our people to understand as well.
If I could, I just want to rewind just a little bit to something that she mentioned about all those different people that exist within you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that you have the controversy of the blue or the pink or the green or whatever. But I'm reminded about a conversation that I had with Brother Wayne Chandler. And this was something that he was speaking to, the fact that there are great people who live within us that we don't have an awareness of. You know, and one of our biggest tasks is to remember who we are, because we're not just the person that's living in this body right now. So he shared something about something that had been communicated to him about who he was in a former life. And if I told you, you wouldn't believe it. You absolutely would not believe it. But this is what he was told through someone who was channeling, who was qualified to give him information about a past lifetime. And so that paradigm exists within all of us. And again, our task is to remember who we are and to understand and fully understand and overstand that greatness lives within us.
Absolutely.
That's why we have the level of consciousness that we have right now. So I can only imagine, you know, Sister Bayyinah has written about the Sheroes of the revolution. And I'm saying to myself, well, perhaps that's who she is. She was one of those folks that was engaged in that revolution. And now we get the benefit of communication about it because she was actually there to witness it.
How dare you say one?
Okay.
Okay. So multiple Sheroes of the revolution.
Okay. No, but we are never one. Never. Okay. As I speak to you, where is the 5-year-old Bayyinah? Is she dead?
Good point. Okay.
No, she's right here. And she could at any moment borrow my mouth, borrow the mouth, because it belongs to all of us, borrow the mouth and say something absolutely 5-year-old stuff. And then you guys would say, okay. But she's right here. She can at any moment. The 18-year-old can too. The 40-year-old can too. It's not because I'm 77 that all these various lives. Now that's for this particular time frame. But where is my grandmama? She is right here. Grandpa, right here. Great-grandpa, right here. Where is Dessalines? Right here.
And that's why they say that you got all the knowledge and wisdom of the ancestors right in you. You just need a teacher to inform you how to bring it out, how to communicate.
Not only that all the Sheroes and heroes live in each one of us, and it's not connected to geographic. It's not because I was born in Haiti. I could be born in Haiti and be totally oblivion to anything about Haiti. And you could be born in Chicago and be an absolute Haitian. Because it's not limited. Because we are all of this earth. Okay? In fact, there is a presentation I made once. I spent about 2 or 3 years studying Osiris of Egypt and Dessalines of Haiti. And it blew my mind. So I came to recognize same person, same biography, same creator country, same assassinated by a brother, same cut up into pieces, same a woman came and picked up the pieces. It just, I said, oh, okay. So if we just understood there is nothing new under this earth, Whoever you admire, look in the mirror, you'll see that person. And when you think you're not big enough, strong enough, smart enough to solve a particular problem, and you think so and so could, then no problem. Go in front of the mirror, call on so and so, because so and so is right here.
Oh boy. Okay.
As you look in the mirror, you know that the eyes is the windows of the soul. In your soul, there is everyone. So call out this person.
Yes.
When somebody called me to court because of this book. Sheroes claiming that the person, I copied everything from her one night. I finished talking about women and she showed me her page on the women and I copied everything and hurried and made a book. I said, God. Fantastic. So anyway, I thought I was most annoyed by a court system that would bring me to court for this. I have over 100 videos about women of the revolution on the internet. I have been teaching for 15 years. I have written books about it, presentations, etc., etc. And then you call me with somebody with one page of paper?
Oh, come on, man.
Typewritten? Gosh. But anyway, what I did, something simple. I remember immediately my father was a lawyer. My maternal grandfather was a lawyer. I called on these guys. I said, hey, listen, I'm not even going to raise a finger. You people go ahead and take care of business. And even though it dragged on for 2 years, ultimately, of course, there was no other way. But because it is a system of injustice, there was no way to be sure how it would go.
That is true. That's true.
I want to know where you are.
I want to touch on one thing that has been dear to me. It came to me as when I was in my 20s or something, when dealing with Christianity and things like that. And I want to touch on it a little bit, definitely before we let you go today. It's dealing with linguistics and language. And that's very important to me because, and I think a lot of our listeners don't understand the importance of language because we're dealing with vibration, we're dealing with energy, and we're dealing with interpretation on certain things, and I think I always used to say that linguistics was the key to understanding a lot of the things that we're in debate about right now. If you go back into the times, in ancient times, if you understood and dissected the language, it would bring you clarity about what was actually going on and the energy that language and words have for us individual and things like that until our surroundings. What's your thought on that? With you being able to speak about 4 or 5 languages and things like that, what's your thoughts on it?
All right. It's not speaking several languages that gives you clarity, but it's actually decoding. So the linguistics, not the polyglot ability that gives you that. And if we understand that language are vibrations and frequencies that we're emitting from within, or we are parakeeting. As a parakeet, we just repeat, not knowing what we mean to say.
Okay.
Most people just parakeet because they have no clue what is the meaning of what they are saying. That's why we say things like, oh, the big powers have decided, the G7, G5, blah, 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 and, the World Bank, the World Organization of Health, so because they have that name, so we think this is something to bow to. No. Okay. So when we go into the decoding of what we want to say, then we want to have the meaning of the words that we are using. And then we understand if you are speaking, then you are constantly choosing how you say something and how you put together your sentences. Example, Ayiti was always called Ayiti by all folks, even our enemies, in German, in French, in English, in British, in American. They always said Ayiti. Until the US occupation, then they start calling our island Haiti. Very different vibration, very different frequency. I do not use that. Once I understood, I made my choice. Some parents might call their children Porky or whatever little so-called nicknames. If that nickname is not something positive, you are destroying your own child. Call your child prince, call your child queen, call your child princess, call your child brilliant, genius. Don't call your son Porky. I never refer to children as kids. It's an animal baby. So if I expect my child to have a certain behavior, hey, I can't call him that. So when you are into linguistics, you know that how you even pronounce something. That's why I would never, you tell me your name, I will never assume I know how to write it. I will ask you, how do you spell, even something as Marie? Yeah, there are many ways. There are Marie Y, there are Marie IE, there are Marie, there are tons of ways of writing. But I want to deal with you, then I must give you the respect of you telling me how to spell your name. I cannot assume. Okay, so linguistics is important, whether for names or for sentences, paragraphs, whatever we're going to say. Without deep thought, we do not know what we mean to say. And when we're just repeating words like hell, oh, I don't use that. There are 1,000 words I could use other than inviting somebody or greeting someone on the basis of hell. No way.
Absolutely. So you could be casting a spell on somebody or something that don't even or defeating them before they even start,
Exactly.
and don't even know it. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, she just spoke to it. Haiti and hate, and you're starting off the name of a country with the word hate. The same way you do when you say hello, you start that phrase off with hell. Just like I was in Jamaica a few years back, and I'm at this 5-star resort, and I'm encountering people from Jamaica there, and they don't even say good. They just say morning. So all AM, you're morning. And it's like, no, I'm rising, great dawning. It's the power of our words, and it's something that we take for granted. Even that small thing about calling our children kids. We're calling our children baby goats. We're calling them animals, and we're not really fully comprehending the power of our words. But I remind people all the time, if you go by the biblical description of how everything was created, God said, let there be light, and there was light. It's a clear demonstration of the power of our words. We say things like, I'm tired. Our body listens to us, and it creates that reality for us. So instead of us saying, I'm tired, we say, I'm energized. And then we welcome energy into our bodies so that we're not existing in that permanent state of being tired. And then we got Fannie Lou Hamer saying, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. But you just doubled your sick and tiredness
Whammy
by
on you.
saying that. You know, we really do have to, and I want to also invoke this, because I think it's easy for us to say that certain things aren't happening, but things are happening.
True.
There are people around the globe who are engaged in positive momentum and movements and linking together and unifying in certain ways. And we have to acknowledge the things that are happening so that we don't keep ourselves locked into a perpetual state of futility. Oh, they ain't doing this, they ain't doing that. No, there are people who are growing their own vegetables. There are people who are creating solar farms. There are people who are organizing. You know, there are people who are acquiring land. There are people who are creating dual citizenship so that you can go somewhere else and live. People who are living off the grid. All these things are happening right now.
True.
You know, so when we buy into the narrative that they want to use to control us, then that's when we become controlled by that narrative. But when we create our own narrative, our own story, our own remembrance, our own projections into what is going to be our future or what is actually our present right now, then we create that reality because we have the power to do that.
Exact. And the more you practice, like everything is like a muscle. The more you practice it, the better you get at it.
Wow. Okay.
If you make no effort, okay, it's like if I stay here and sit down, say, oh, I'm only 77 years old, blah, 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 and sit down. Well, then after a while, that's all I'll be able to do. And in order to get off of the seat, somebody will have to help me. But what I say is I walk 12 to 15,000 steps a day, every day, except when it's raining, because the sidewalks are slippery. There's, you know, in the fall, especially, there are leaves and whatnot. So I will choose not to in those situations. But generally, I walk every single day. And if I can go out and walk, you will see me walking in the house like a crazy woman. Because I'm going to have my 12,000 steps.
Hey, sister, you know, I'm looking at your resume and looking at the things that you've done, and lately I've been re-energized more so on the youth, you know, and understanding that the youth is our future, and you took a great interest in the youth and that knowledge of the youth. To tell me why.
Well, the only reason I'm here is to prepare the next 7 generations.
Okay.
Otherwise, I should just go out with my shovel, dig my hole, and bring myself into it.
Okay.
If today at 77, my life is, what am I going to get for Bayyinah? Then please go dig your hole, woman, and leave people alone. Okay. So life is a continuum. And each one of us have our responsibility at different times, wherever you are on this continuum. Okay. Again, the Bonheur people, I learned from them that the average person, prior to slavery and colonization and all that, the average person's lifespan is 126 years. And it is divided into 6 segments of 21 years.
Okay.
So from 0 to 21, you must learn to listen. We don't want to hear your opinion. You don't have one yet. You haven't lived enough to have one, to own one. So listen and shut up. 21 to 42, you can question. 42 to 63, you start to give back what you've learned. But really, a master teacher, somebody who's going to train others, starts at 63. It's between 63 and 84. So I started teaching at 21, so I was definitely disqualified. I can easily see, between what I'm doing today and what I used to do at 21, making people be ashamed. Oh, you don't know this? Please. Okay. So 84. So 84 to whatever the next 21 is, I think it's 95.
Yeah, the 63 to 84. What's that area?
That's when your primary role is to transmit.
Okay.
So 84 to 101 is experimentation. You can contest and object to anything the society says, because that's the time you're supposed to you test everything and bring something that wasn't there yet. And after this, you owe nothing to nobody. If you want to walk around naked, that's your business. You shouldn't worry about what you're going to eat, because that's their problem, what you put in your mouth, where you sleep, blah, 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 So they have a whole structure.
Okay.
So after 100, was it 101?
What?
No, 105. 105, you are total freedom. Okay. You can stop anybody. You can call the king and tell him, come in here and listen. Let me tell you, blah, blah, blah. See, you have that authority. Okay. So looking at this, I know that the whole purpose is that when you go, then whatever you started is continuing. So if you do not train the next generation, how is it going to continue?
For sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
When we have rulers like the guy in Cameroon who's 90, I think he's 99 or something like that, being around for 50 some odd years. Men don't really even know his good name, but he knows one thing: he's not leaving as president. He has to stay president. And the only real plan he has is after he goes, either his son or his wife, somebody in his family, but they're not prepared for that. They have no education. They have no training in justice, freedom, justice, health, prosperity, generalized prosperity, power. You as president have no power right now. You only there because France is propping you up. So what are you going to leave for the next generation? Nothing about justice, nothing about freedom, nothing about justice and health, nothing about generalized prosperity, and certainly no power. And these are the 5 things that a head of state should be leaving for the next generation.
I know you did some work and some interviews with people living over 125 years old. What was how was that experience?
I think the best thing I personally gained out of doing a research and discovering that in Haiti, where all the documents, all the international documents says, Haiti, longevity 42 years, longevity 48 years. Well, and then when I did the research, I found that we have a higher proportion of centenarians in the world.
In Haiti?
In Haiti, yes.
Wow.
Not only do we have all these people who are between 100 and 132, but when I mean 126, 130, I don't mean in a wheelchair. Nobody has a wheelchair. If you are a farmer, you're a 126-year-old farmer. You've been doing it all your life, and you don't know words like pension. You don't know like retired. You don't know these things. You just know that you're going to work until you die. Well, actually, we don't die. In our language, we say when you cross over.
Mhm.
Okay. So you're going to work until you cross over. Many of them, they have their coffin prepared. If they live in a very small house, you walk into the house and the coffin is hanging on the ceiling there. And in that coffin, the dress they want to wear, the shoes, everything, they're not leaving no trouble for nobody. They know one day they're going to cross over. Here's how they want to cross over. So when I look at that, what I learned, number one, this business of being afraid of death is nonsense. So that cued me of, oh, I can't do this, they might kill me. I can't do that, they might kill me. No. When your time to go is, you will go, period. So death is not a problem. I have known 3 hurricanes. I have lived through the 2010 earthquake. And in that earthquake, I got 5 broken ribs and some other bones and whatnot, broken and whatnot.
Mm.
I have been arrested 3 or 4 times by the government, and nothing takes away my smile. I came on this earth to do what I got with a mission, and I'm working at it until I cross over, period. Okay. So,
Purpose.
now, not only did I discover those Haitians at home, but then when I check centenarians, people that are more than 100 years in Canada, the centenarians in Canada are people who came from Haiti and moved to Canada.
What's that?
Check out the centenarians in the United States. A large number of them, Haitians who move here. In fact, I discovered in the 2005, 2006, we had Mrs. Omeville. She was 125. And because of the Fondation, we put it on our website. Family who thought she was dead, she was living alone. Family who thought she was dead, but who were living abroad, discovered that their great-grandma was still alive. So they contacted us and we made an arrangement and made a passport for her. She traveled to Chicago.
Wow.
At 127. First
Wow.
time going on a plane, first time, no problem. Now, a few months after she got there, somebody knocked at the door of their apartment, an official from the US government, with a flag, a passport, and a visa. Not visa, a flag, a US passport. She is made a US citizen without asking her any questions about it.
So they want to take credit for that?
She's 127, and I discovered that the US does that for people 115 and plus. You in their country, they just make you a citizen, and that's it.
I like to embellish what you're saying about longevity, because those persons who were living on those farms and just basically living until they transition, it's a matter of their lifestyle. They are connected with nature because they're putting their hands and their feet on the soil every day. And I would venture to say that they're probably not eating a whole lot of stuff that comes in packages and corrupted
No, they
by
don't.
the processing, So it's really a consequence of how they choose to live. I think about the Okinawans, who also have one of the highest life expectancies on the planet. And the reason that they exist, because they're so tied to their culture and the way that they've been doing things for years, it just extends their life. And I think there's a lesson that we could learn from that, because we always take the easy way out. We just go to the store and buy something. But you talked about going to that plant and it's native to where you live. So you need some soursop, you can find some soursop. You go, you ask permission, you get permission granted, and you utilize that particular herb. But what we'll do is we'll go to a doctor And then as soon as we go to the doctor goes on a witch hunt. They want to do all these diagnostics to find out if there's anything going on in your body that they can treat. And
They're
then
gonna find something.
they start you on this regimen of treatment and pharmaceutical things, and it has nothing to do with the herbs that you've been acquainted with for generations. You just completely forget all about that, and then you rely on somebody's pill to keep you alive until your life expectancy suddenly comes to an end because of the way you've decided to address whatever is going on in your body. So the point is that our connection to our culture, our connection to our lifestyle, our connection to nature is what enables us to extend our lives. And it's actually this consumerism that we live in this country that is the cause of death. And it's in perfect alignment with a depopulation agenda because they want to get rid of people for whatever reason. I don't know. I mean, the earth is such that it could sustain 10 billion people if there were that many people on the planet, if the resources were used wisely. But we don't think about that. We just think about and go along with the plans that they have to take us out. And we're living through that. Someone mentioned earlier about all the departures. You mentioned the departures that took place during Hurricane Katrina. And then you talked about the earthquake that happened, and then we can't even go into the rabbit hole of the Clinton Foundation. I mean, we probably should, but you look at these foundations, and many times the reason that the foundation exists is to curry favor with the people who start those foundations because they've done so much evil. And this is the way that they buy respect. This is the way they buy, complicity of going along with what they do. But clearly that whole foundational piece was established to perpetuate the exploitation of that country. And I'm so glad that you cleared up that point about Ayiti as opposed to Haiti, because now I'm making the adjustment, and I will make every effort to not ever use that word again unless it's absolutely necessary. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. No, it is important to understand. You see, just the fact of us knowing that there are people on our planet living to be 130, 140, 150. That alone, that knowledge can improve your own life, your own longevity.
Let me say something here, and it's just I'm just being blown away these last several years. Is that example of what you just said about opening up your mind and expanding? Just because how you thought, it limited you. And it's funny how that works when you deal with nature. If you take a plant and you put it in a small pot, it's only going to grow to what it's able or capable of doing. You put a fish, they say you put a shark in a small tank, it only is going to get as big as its surrounding because of its mind, its surrounding, its mindset, and things of that nature. So I'm applying that to what you just said. You and Vince just said. By now, understanding, and it's something that I wrote saying that, I talked about the Russian Georgians. That's one of the first cultures that are, by living in Russia, they live in 120 something, and they looking at 70, 80, they looking at that as being young. So now, if we have the mindset of understanding, knowing that I can live to be 130, now that just changed everything in your system, in your body, in your consciousness, the cells in your body. You just changed. You didn't limit yourself. You opened yourself up to a whole nother vast way of thinking, and it's all about how you think, what you think, and things of that nature. That was I put that together, and that's profound right there. It really is, and you can apply that to every other thing as well, about being limited and your limitations on things. Just like you said, you had it in your mind. I'm surviving this earthquake. I'm surviving this being in prison. I'm surviving, these particular things, and you're not taking me out. Or that one person on the airplane said, I'm gonna survive this crash. It's all about our mental. sister, we're not going to hold you all day, but I want to, give the people the opportunity to get in contact with you, or to at least get your books and things of that nature, and to follow you in what you're doing. I know you just had a book signing not too long ago, so tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, we had a book signing, a very successful book signing in Boston, Massachusetts, organized by our Ayitian Association, or Woman Association in Boston. And they did a great job organizing it. And so it was, we were very grateful for them, for what they did. So yes, we would appreciate the books we wrote. There are 4 books available. 3 of them, I wrote them, so I'm not very good at asking people for money. So my policy is write a book for the Fondation, and every sales goes to the Fondation. Of course, I don't have enough sales to really maintain the Fondation, but we hope that will come. But that's but if you're moved and you want to help the Fondation, we would be very, very happy, very grateful. Especially right now, we're entering the phase where we are. We do this drive every year for January 1st, which is Haiti's Independence Day. And that day is connected to our independence soup, which was created by our Empress. And that soup, what people don't understand is that her idea was, she's a healer, the Empress. So she created something that, knowing that coming out of slavery, not everybody could have a meal a day. So she created a meal that will, if you have any nutritional lackings, that meal will take care of it.
There we go. I found it.
Our pumpkin, not the yellow thing, the orange thing you have here, by the way.
Okay.
Because there are many types of pumpkins. The Ayiti's pumpkin has 127 nutritional elements in it, 4 of which are what they call enzymes. And one of these enzymes work like a glue. So that means when you prepare the soup properly, all the nutritions that the soup bring into your body is sealed by that enzyme. So it's not going to go away as soon as you go to the bathroom. It will linger in your body for, well, in 1994, I had somebody tested them. He said they could linger as long as 28 days. So even if you had nothing else to eat between January 1st and January 28th, your body would not be totally deprived because of that soup. So the soup, what we do in Haiti, the tradition is on January 1st, we eat nothing else, just that soup. Breakfast, soup. Lunch, soup. If you can afford to eat several times a day, you eat the soup only. And also she said not to put any meat in it. Now, from the brother who did the test in 94, he says, if you have a huge pot of soup and you take a small piece of meat, you drop in it, the meat eat the enzymes. So then when you go to the bathroom, that's it.
Oh my goodness. Yes. So you know what, you're gonna have to send me a picture of. I would love to when you get, if you, I don't know if you're in Haiti now, but whatever, but one day I would like to see what that pumpkin look like.
Sure, it'll be a pleasure.
Yeah.
Brother Antonio, I want to know what's in the soup. That's what I want to know. How can I get some of that soup into my system on January 1st?
As a matter of fact, in the past 4 or 5 years, quite a few people have started doing it in outside of Haiti. In fact, 4 years ago, I think there was a congressman who paid 20 Haitian restaurants to serve the soup for free in New York. Different places, different people organize and whatnot. So you might have somebody doing it near you, if now that you know that it, you look for it on January 1st.
Okay.
Many of us are now doing it outside and serving it to old people's places, or serving it to people who may need. Okay, so we have expanded the concept. Many people are doing it in different ways. So definitely, so we do, our drive is starting now, and on December 2nd will be a big day for us for collecting enough. And we're hoping this year to be able to share the soup with at least 40,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. And
Well,
again,
yeah.
Go ahead. I was
just going to say we can start a new tradition. It's traditional that you eat black eyed peas.
Come on now.
Come on. But
come on now.
I would like to volunteer to be one of the 40,000. So whatever it takes to make that happen, I'm all for it.
All right, we're going to look into that.
Yes,
and so January 1st is Independence Day. It's only the soup. January 2nd is Ancestors Day. On that day, only your money can stop you. You put everything on your table: fowl, meat, beef, chicken, anything you could put, because it's Ancestors Day. So whatever they like, when they come to your place, they could find their favorite whatever. So, all different kinds of desserts, all different kinds of salads, everything is, on January 2nd. But January 1st is about getting your health together. So it's soup.
See, and that's again, you're just validating, and it's again, look at that, where we at. You got a special time, and people look at that as crazy, because I know a little bit about Yoruba and different spiritualities and dealing with your altar and giving up things to your ancestors and things. People look at that and don't really understand what's going on. It's all about respect and knowing that your ancestors are here. They are inside of you. They are part of you. They help you. They guide you. They're there for you. And in that spiritual realm of doing things, and it brings me back on when I was in Ghana. Dr. Ankur explained what sacrifice was all about. One releasing something in the physical plane to go to the spiritual world, to have it talk to the Great Spirit, and taking care of things on the physical plane, for you. That's what the meaning of sacrifice was. And so it's just a whole level of things, and this unseen world that we are just totally void of and understanding, and our life could be so much different and better if we understood those particular things and with nature. So again, sister, where could they go to Amazon and get the books and things like that?
Yes, the book is available on Amazon. That's the easiest way. Yes.
That's the easiest way. Well, it may be the easiest. It might not be the best for you. Is it a website? Is there a website that they could go to and get them directly from you or something, or what?
We are working on something, but it's not quite available yet. But for now, what we have is Amazon.
Okay. So what I'll do is I will put a link in the description for this video for your website, because there is a website up and it does have great information about who you are and what you're doing. If you would want me to, I can put the Amazon link, or I can just tell folks to go to Amazon and put your name and the book title in, and then they'll be able to get the book that way.
Right. You could do.
Okay. All right. Well, we're happy to do that for you, and
Thank
encourage folks to get this knowledge. They always say, if you want to hide something from us, put it in a book. But, now that we know that some of us do have literary skills, and we can read books, and we can be the beneficiaries of the knowledge that comes from the wisdom of folks like Professor Bello. So with that, we'd like to thank you for joining us today. Any final parting words of wisdom that you'd like to share with us before we say au revoir?
Oh, thank you. Well, all we will say is just a reminder. Remind yourself to always think before you decide. Don't rush through life. They make you run. They make you always be, "Ah, I'm late. I got to run. I got to run." When you're running like this, you're not thinking and you're not taking the best decisions for yourself. So please, please, please take a stop, take a deep breath. Before you decide. And I will leave you with a song, because that's the song that helps you to remember. Ibo lele, Ibo lele o, Ibo lele o, mayamagamun pajwe o. Ibo lele, Ibo lele o, Ibo lele o, mayamagamun pajwe o. Ibolele is the law or principle of the memory of humanity. There is nothing that happened on our earth that Ibolele does not know, that Ibolele does not remember. So, sing that song when you want to remember. If you find that your memory is often defective, get the song, sing the song, play the song, and let me know after 90 days how you feel.
Well,
Okay.
appreciate
I
you.
couldn't help but notice that there's a piano over there on your right shoulder.
Not me. These are the grandchildren.
Okay. All right.
Very good.
Brother Antonio, anything you want to share before we depart?
Just again, like she couldn't have said it best. The greatest knowledge is the knowledge of self, and I just want to thank you again, sister, for making this happen. I love the show. I appreciate it. You that timeline that you said. If we just understood that, we would get along just much better. From 0 to 27, 21, where you at, that 21 scale, 21-year scale there, that only comes from a people who's been around for a long time, who
Very true.
understand life, man. You know what I mean? That's beautiful, just beautiful. I'm good, Vince.
Well, okay. Well, I'm going to invoke what I always do when we part, and I will say, know yourself, love yourself, be yourself. Make today your best day, y'all. Peace.
Peace. Thank you again, sister. Thank you.
you.
All right.